Although intermittent fasting has been around for decades, it didn't gain popularity until just a few years ago. When you learn about intermittent fasting, it's exciting. You learn that you can lose body fat, get ripped, live longer, all of these incredible, amazing benefits that intermittent fasting provides. It's exciting, it feels amazing. But what's not so exciting is having to explain to people like your close friends and family why you're doing intermittent fasting. Because the thing is, intermittent fasting is something that not many people understand much about. And trying to explain it to people can be very difficult. Let's be real, it's not fun when you have to explain to your close family members that you can't eat breakfast. And the reason it's really so difficult to tell people is because intermittent fasting or skipping breakfast goes against conventional thinking. It challenges the status quo. It basically goes against everything we're ever told. Everybody knows that the most important meal of the day is breakfast and that you need to eat breakfast because that's what we're told. If you're going to step outside what's considered normal, then people are going to say things about that. You're going to get backlash for stepping out and doing something different. I don't want to go in detail on this video about debunking the myths of why intermittent fasting works and why skipping breakfast is actually a good thing. Not that I'm against breakfast in any way, because I do think there's a certain amount of people that should actually consume breakfast, or even on certain days. I do have other videos on this YouTube channel talking about those things. Before I actually tell you exactly what you can say to people so that it clears things up and gives you the best possible outcome, one thing I want to mention is, why do you care anyway? The thing is, I understand that everybody cares about their friends and family and what they think of you, but in reality you shouldn't really care about what other people think about your nutrition choices. You don't go around judging people for eating too much sugar, eating too much chocolate, drinking alcohol. Other people should not be judging you, and you shouldn't care what other people think, regardless of who it is, when it comes to your health. Your health is your business only and nobody else's business. Another eye-opening point that I want to make is that unless your family member or one of your friends is an expert in fat loss or nutrition or an expert on intermittent fasting, then they probably shouldn't have an opinion. This is one of the biggest problems with humans in general. We all have an opinion on things, and sometimes you actually shouldn't have an opinion. Some people ask me questions and I just say, I don't know. And it's okay to say that. I mean, for example, if you ask me a question about women's makeup, I know nothing about women's makeup, and not only would I not give you my opinion on anything to do with women's makeup, it would also be absolutely stupid of me to give an opinion on something I know nothing about. That's the problem that you will run into. You're going to be listening to people, regardless of who it is, that literally have no idea what they're talking about. They probably don't even know what intermittent fasting is. So it's understandable that they're obviously misinformed, most people will be, but also the reality is they shouldn't have an opinion anyway. Before I tell you what you can say, don't forget to like this video, click that like button if you've enjoyed anything I've said so far. So here's what I want you to do. Go up to a family member, or maybe a family member may ask you. So there's two scenarios. Either a family member is going to ask you or a friend why you're not eating breakfast, or you're going to approach them and tell them. So let's use the example of you going to tell a family member or a friend that you're skipping breakfast. So just ask that person, hey, have you got a minute? And obviously they're going to say, yes, I've got a minute. And what I want you to say is, I found this cool thing out, it's a new style of eating. And then you need to fill in the blank. So it's helped me, and then whether it's to lose body fat, whether it's to have more energy levels, whatever your reason is that you're doing intermittent fasting, you fill in that blank. So for example, I might say, I've been trying this really cool thing out, this new style of eating, it's really helped me lose weight. And then you say, it's called intermittent fasting, have you ever heard of it? So you're just asking the question, have you ever heard of intermittent fasting? And regardless of what they say, whether they say, yes, I've heard of it, or whether they say, no, I've never heard of it, you basically tell them what it is anyway. You just say, intermittent fasting is when you actually skip breakfast, and you can see a lot of benefits from actually not eating breakfast. Now, in my opinion, this next part is probably the key to having people come over to your side. And when I say come over to your side, I don't mean so they start doing intermittent fasting, because that's their business, but just so they accept what you're doing, because families especially, and some friends as well, will say that things are stupid if you decide to do anything that's against what the family do, or anything against what your friend group does. People often say, that's stupid, why are you doing that? So this just puts people in the know of what you're doing. So if you have good friends and good family members, and if you don't, then it's my recommendation that you cut those people out of your life. But if you have people that really care about you, they want you to do well, they want the best for you, and that's usually the reason they're telling you not to do intermittent fasting and to eat breakfast because they think that's the best way. They do mean well, they're not trying to stop you from making progress. But here's the key to sort of win people over, is to say this. So once you've told them what intermittent fasting is, you basically say, yes, intermittent fasting is about skipping breakfast, and this is the key. It's helped me so far because before I was struggling with my weight. I wasn't feeling great about myself and I was gaining weight. Or maybe you say I was really struggling with my energy levels and intermittent fasting's really helped me have more energy. Regardless of what your reason is, you basically name something you were struggling with and how now it's helping you. Because that's going to let those people know, the people who should want you to do well, that this is making your life better. At this point, most people will accept what you've said. You may get a few people that sort of say, well, you know, I've heard that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, sure this is working. And at that point you can basically just say, it's working for me, I'm really enjoying it, it's working well, it's giving me all these benefits. And what I would recommend saying is to that person, if you're open-minded enough, I can send you a few videos over, not necessarily of mine, of anybody's that's talking sense about intermittent fasting, and send the links to that video. Most people won't watch those videos, but it's still you just providing some extra information if people want to disagree with what you're saying. We all have different personalities in our families and friend groups, and the one thing you need to avoid is saying to somebody that you are wrong or raising your voice in any way. And I know it's sort of an unusual subject to talk about intermittent fasting and how to actually ask somebody or tell somebody that you're doing intermittent fasting, but especially for younger guys and girls, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, it can be difficult to tell older family members, and so this is why I'm doing this video. But one thing that you need to avoid is telling people that you're wrong. So if they say something like breakfast is the most important meal of the day and you say no it's not, you're wrong, that's going to cause them to become angry at you, which is then going to cause you to be angry at them because you know you're right and they think they know they're right, and then you're sat having a ridiculous argument about food. It's not necessarily about trying to convince people. At the end of the day, you can make your own decisions, and so if people don't agree with it, then maybe you might have to settle for that. If somebody doesn't come over to your way of thinking, that's okay. Sometimes you just disagree and you do your own thing, and that's fine anyway, because it's your health and your body. But another thing that you can say if somebody disagrees with you is say, well, I used to think that as well. You know, you agree with them. When you agree with people, they tend to come over to your side. And the key is to be honest with this. If you never did really agree with them, if you've always thought intermittent fasting is the perfect way, then don't lie to people. But the chances are it's true that you once thought breakfast was the most important meal of the day. Everybody else thinks that. I used to think that. I'm sure all of you did as well. You can always say, I used to think the same until I found out about intermittent fasting, and now it's provided me with all these benefits. It's really working well. And if you think about it logically, humans have not eaten breakfast for more time than they have eaten breakfast. And really, I'm totally not against breakfast, but this is something you can say, and that is that really breakfast in the first place is only made to make money. The only reason that anyone ever came out with a cereal or a breakfast product is so that they can make money, and that's why it's marketed. You've got to eat breakfast, you've got to have breakfast, fuel yourself, energy throughout the day. All of that rubbish is actually just there, over time was built up, and it's just a marketing strategy. It's just people trying to sell you cereal. Don't forget to like the video if you forgot to like the video before, and I'm going to leave you on screen right now the next video that I want you to watch, which is going to be what drinks you can drink when intermittent fasting, because this can really help you boost your fat loss and also become healthier with some of these drinks.